Hey everyone, this is Michael again, and welcome to my review of tonight's edition of Monday Night Raw. Yeah, I just yawned because that's how Raw was tonight. This show was so fucking boring. This was a shitty ass Raw tonight. This was just a bad show. Wasn't as bad as Battleground was. So I gotta say, Raw last week, a whole lot better show. I liked Raw last week. It was a decent show, but tonight's was just, especially that whole third hour of tonight was so fucking shitty. But I just got done watching Bring It to the Table on the network, which I have to say is the best show that the network has, aside from NXT and 205 Live, which I do enjoy 205 Live. I have to say, like I said, it's the best. Bring It to the Table is the best show on the network. I hope they don't cancel it, because WWE now, from what I read, they're doing budget cuts. They're trying to, they said that they were probably going to cancel the Edge and Christian show because of that, and they canceled an R-Truth game show that was supposed to happen. So, and then they also canceled Unfiltered with Renee Young. So, there's one show, like I said, I hope they don't cancel, is Bring It to the Table, because it is a very good show. And I gotta say, that show was a lot more entertaining tonight than Raw. So, but yeah, let's get started with this shitty piece of shit Raw. This Raw was just the top of the mountain piece of shit show. That's what it was. You got a big pile of shit for the whole show, especially the third hour. So, but yeah, this Raw was from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and the show opened with Kurt Angle coming out, the hometown boy from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. He's welcoming the crowd to Raw tonight, and he announces the matches that are going to be on tonight. He announces first the match. It's going to be Big Show versus Big Cass, and then Miz will have his illegitimate son Jason Jordan on Miz TV, and also the triple threat match between Braun versus Roman versus Joe. And he comes to the crowd. He says to the crowd that it makes 21 years that he won, his gold medal. He's like, I won with a broken freaking neck. The whole classic quote that he always says back in the day, which was cool. And then a surprise, which didn't even know that he was going to be here tonight. Brock Lesnar shows up tonight. And, he's with Paul Heyman, of course. Heyman gets on the mic. Heyman says he understands the strategy that, Kurt is playing, the angle that Kurt is playing. Heyman says that Kurt is thinking that he wants to take the Universal title off of Lesnar. And, he was like to Kurt, oh, why put Lesnar in a fatal four-way for the Universal title at SummerSlam? And Heyman goes on to talk about Braun, Roman, and Joe. Just the opponents for that Lesnar's going to be taking on at SummerSlam in a fatal four-way. And Heyman says to Kurt that if Lesnar loses the title to either Braun, Roman, or Joe at SummerSlam, Lesnar will leave WWE. And Paul Heyman will go with him. So, and he also says that Heyman also says that Lesnar will not lose his title at SummerSlam, and at the end of the night at SummerSlam, there will be an announcement that says that Lesnar will still retain the Universal title. So it was a pretty good, it was a good opening segment, though. Gotta admit that. And then after that, we had the first match. It was the Hardys versus Gallows and Anderson. Once again, the Revival was on commentary through the match. And this was a decent match. It was entertaining, to say the least, with the Hardys. And the Hardy Boys end up winning the match because Matt Hardy hit the Twist of Fate, and also Jeff hit the Swanton Bomb on Luke Gallows. So, and then after the match, you had the Revival and the Hardys and Gallows and Anderson take out each other on the stage, and we saw Matt and Jeff. They both hit a Twist of Fate on Scott Dawson on the stage, and then Jeff hit the Poetry in Motion on Dash Wilder and Karl Anderson. Off the he did the Poetry in Motion off the stage onto both of them. So that was it was pretty entertaining. It was an entertaining match between the Hardys and Gallows and Anderson. It was decent. And then Renee Young, which I read in the article, she's both going to be working Raw and SmackDown. She's going to be doing both shows, interviewing the superstars backstage. But she interviews her husband, Dean Ambrose, about are him and Seth going to get back together, and be a team. And then we have Seth come there. And he says last week was special because of him tagging with Dean last week. He's saying it felt like old times. And then Dean says to Seth that he still doesn't trust him, and that he's not going to get burned by him again because he got burned by Seth. When Seth was in the Authority. When Seth hit the chair to the back of Roman. It's just Dean still doesn't trust Seth. So, but it was okay segment. Then we have Seth is walking and he runs into Cesaro and Sheamus, and both of them come and tell Seth that that at first they couldn't stand each other, that Cesaro and Sheamus couldn't stand each other, but then they became friends because of them just winning the tag team titles. And then Cesaro tells Seth that Dean will never trust him again. Sheamus says to Seth that he's all alone, and so that kind of triggered Seth off. And then Seth tells them, let's fight tonight. Find out if Cesaro or Sheamus could take on him tonight. Sheamus then agrees that you will take on Seth tonight. So it was okay backstage segment. Then the next match was the Cruiserweight match. It was Akira Tozawa, Rich Swann, and Cedric Alexander versus TJP, TJ Perkins, Tony Nese, and Aryia Daviari. This was a 6-man tag, and it was entertaining. Gotta say, it was entertaining. The crowd was, a little bit behind them tonight. We had Rich Swann and Cedric Alexander, jumping from the top onto TJP and Tony Nese outside the ring, and then we just had Akira Tozawa just run through the bottom rope and took out Aryia Daviari. Still, Akira Tozawa's arm was still in the cast, because he hurt his arm really bad, and he still went for this match. It was didn't keep him down. That he still has a broken arm. That he still has a broken arm, an injured arm. So, in the end, Akira Tozawa got the win by hitting the Swanton Bomb on TJ Perkins, TJP. So it was an entertaining cruiserweight match. And then now it's going to be Akira Tozawa versus Aryia Daviari tomorrow night on 205 Live, and whoever wins the match will be the #1 contender to take on Neville for the Cruiserweight title at SummerSlam. So that's going to be a pretty that's going to be a pretty cool match to decide who's going to take on Neville for the Cruiserweight title at SummerSlam. And then after that, we had Miz TV. Miz comes out, says that he hates Pittsburgh so much. And, he introduces his guest, who's Jason Jordan. Miz says to Jason that, how does he feel that, Jason has been booed. And Jason goes on to say that, it doesn't matter if the crowd boos or cheers. And, he says Miz is the expert of all boos. And then Miz tells Jason to, that he wants to guide his career and make, Jason, top star. But Jason declines. But Miz says that he could make him, a success, and that Jason needs Miz's help. And, Jason declines once again. And Miz says to Jason that, Kurt could hand him anything, because Kurt is, of course, his illegitimate son. And Jason says that, Kurt never handed him anything. And then Miz goes on to trash talk about Kurt, saying that, he's making bad decision after bad decision. And Jason says to Miz that, if he says one more word about him, he's going to regret it. If Miz says anything, one more word about Kurt, that, he's going to regret it. And then Miz goes on to attack Jason, but Jason ends up suplexing Miz onto Curtis and Bo to end the segment. And it was just I thought it was not that good of a Miz TV. I mean, it was, Jason Jordan was just there. So, just to, hype up with him being Kurt's illegitimate son. So, didn't really care for it. And now we have Roman Reigns cutting a promo talking about Braun and Joe, their triple threat match tonight. It says that he's going to walk in the ring tonight and walk out of SummerSlam with the Universal title. So it was a little promo. And then we had, after that, was Seth Rollins versus Sheamus. It was a decent match. It was, okay, decent match. Just back and forth between Rollins and Sheamus. We had Cesaro outside during the match, just watching the match. But Seth Rollins won the match with a roll up to Sheamus. So, and then after the match, Cesaro hits Seth, and both Cesaro and Sheamus take out Seth. And then Sheamus just hits a white noise on Seth. We had Cesaro going up to the top, and then that just, Sheamus did his white noise on Seth. And then Dean Ambrose comes out to save Seth, and he tries to take out both Sheamus and Cesaro, but both Sheamus and Cesaro end up taking out Dean. Cesaro hits a neutralizer on Dean, and then Dean was like, he wanted some more, but both of them took Dean out again. And then Sheamus just hit Dean with a brogue kick. So that just happened after the match. So both Seth and Dean both got killed tonight by Cesaro and Sheamus. So all in all, it was a okay, decent match with Seth and Sheamus. Then we had Samoa Joe talking about Roman and Braun, this kind of promo about their triple threat tonight. And then after that, we had Bray Wyatt come out, talk about Finn Balor. Bray says that he's everywhere and tells the crowd that they are infected by hope and that their lives would be special. It's just that's how I felt. But he goes on to say that there is no escape. Finn Balor. Finn's music hits, and then we see him, it's dark, and then we see as the lights come back on, he's in the ring, he turns his back on Bray, and then Bray starts to come to Finn, and then Finn just hits Bray with an overhead kick, and then Finn hits him into the crowd, you know, kicks Bray into the crowd. So it was a pretty boring segment with Bray, and then Finn, you know, Finn being there, it was okay though, just for Finn though, just for Balor. And then we had Braun Strowman kind of promo about, of course, Roman and Joe. I'd say it was his promo was the best. I have to say his and Joe's was the best. Roman's was just, you know, the same old, you know, it's my yard now, you know, same shit with Roman. And then after Strowman's promo, we had, you know, the triple threat between Roman, Braun, and Joe, and it was a good match. I was really entertained by it. You know, they were just decimating each other. When the match started, Braun was just, you know, dominating at first. We had Roman and Braun battle in the crowd, and then Joe locked in the Coquina Clutch on Braun. Braun got out of that. But then, you know, the match ended in a bullshit win. You could tell Vince McMahon's hands was all over this. You know, Roman Reigns won the match with a spear to Joe. The steel steps were trying to be used because you had Strowman just throw the steps in, and you know, pretty much wasn't even used. But Roman Reigns just won the match with a spear to Joe. So it was bullshit win. You could tell Vince's hands was all over this. So because Roman is Vince's boy now. You know, what you would call his bitch now. Roman is Vince's bitch. So yeah, and then that was the second. That was the whole second hour of that. The first hour ended with you know, with the Akira Tozawa Rich Swann match, and then the second hour starting with Miz TV. And then here's where we get to the horrible, shitty third hour, which made this show a shit fest tonight. You know, the first 2 hours couldn't save this show. This is where the third hour starts. You know, Enzo comes to Big Show saying that he apologizes for dragging Big Show into the whole situation with him and Big Cass, and Big Show says that Big Cass is the last one that, you know, he will ever respect. So it was just, you know, that short thing. And we had the next match. It was Elias Sampson. Oh, I'm sorry, it's not Elias Sampson anymore. It's just Elias. Yeah, because they dropped his last name. Now it's Elias. You know, it was Elias versus Kalisto. I'm like, really? Elias versus Kalisto? What? This is bad. This is bad booking. This is WWE's logic of really bad booking. Before the match even started, we had him in the ring. We had Elias in the ring, talking about how he grew up in Pittsburgh and how the song, you know, he was singing had, you know, inspired him of Pittsburgh. It was snooze fest. But this match, Elias versus Kalisto, was just so fucking boring. The crowd didn't even care for this match at all. It even went to a commercial during the match. And it just dragged out for so long. Everybody was chanting like CM Punk chants. And we just had Elias defeat Kalisto with the drift away. It was just Elias dominating through the whole match. Just Kalisto jobbing to Elias. It was just shit. It was just a piece of shit match. Shitty damn match. And then we had Alexa Bliss being interviewed about Bayley facing her at SummerSlam, and then she says that she doesn't want to face Alexa doesn't want to face Sasha again, and then she says that Bayley is facing Nia Jax tonight, and that the match will be a massacre. And it was really weird. Sasha wasn't even on this show tonight. How could you not have Sasha on this show tonight? After Bayley won the match last week against her, to face Alexa for the Raw Women's title at SummerSlam. And then the next week, this show tonight, Sasha is nowhere to be seen. Where was Sasha during this show? So yeah. So anyways, it was just a little interview with Alexa. Then we had Seth and Dean in the locker room. Dean says that next time Seth pulls this crap, he's not going to save him. Dean's not going to go out there and save Seth, because Dean still doesn't trust Seth. It's just a little locker room segment with them. Then we had another boring match, Bayley versus Nia Jax, and it's coming from you all know I'm a huge Bayley fan. Once again they put her with Nia Jax, and I'm like, how many times are we going to see them? How many times are we going to see them put Bayley with Nia Jax, just so Nia could just decimate Bayley? We had at one point in the match where Nia was just making fun of Bayley. Nia did the side ponytail just like Bayley. It was just pretty boring. It was just boring. You had Alexa come out there. Bayley took her out, and then the ref was counting, and Nia just ran into the steel steps, and then Bayley just went back in the ring. So and then Bayley won the match by count out. So then after the match, Alexa tries to take advantage of Bayley, and then Bayley just retreats out of the ring. It was a boring match. Boring. And then Renee was interviewing Big Cass about Big Show, saying he needs to teach him respect. And then Big Cass says that there is no way Big Show respects himself by hanging out with Enzo, and he calls Big Show a miscreant. So it's just a little segment, little interview with Big Cass. And then we get to the main event. And why was this the main event? Why? I couldn't believe this was the main event. And this was a shitty main event. A shitty main event. It was Big Cass versus Big Show. I don't understand why this was the main event. This is horrible. We have Enzo coming out saying to Big Cass that, he was talking about Big Cass, saying that he's done some terrible things, and he calls Big Cass a fraud and soft, and that Big Show is gonna bounce him. It's just typical Enzo promo. But this match was it was boring. Like I said, it was shitty. It was a shitty main event. We just had Big Show doing his chops to Big Cass, and Big Cass took Big Show's knee out. Was just doing some dominance on Big Show's knee that he took out, and then just Enzo caused the match to be a DQ. So Big Cass won the match by disqualification because Enzo jumped on top of Big Cass. And then Cass just, of course, as always, what he does with Enzo, he lays Enzo out with a big boot. Enzo gets knocked out. Then Big Show, we see Big Show is up, and he really gives, he lays out Big Cass with a nasty right arm with a KO punch to Big Cass. It was really brutal punch to Big Cass. And then the show ends. You know, we see Big Show with Enzo just walking up the ramp. That's how Raw ended. Shitty main event. It was just boring. I can't believe this was the main event. I can't fucking believe this was the main event for tonight. And SummerSlam is in 3 weeks. And this show didn't even feel like they were hyping up for SummerSlam in 3 weeks. You know, leading up to SummerSlam. It didn't even feel like it. So, but all in all, this Raw was just shitty. It was horrible. I have to say SmackDown is going to be the much better show tomorrow because we got Cena versus Nakamura, and that's going to be a really good match. That's going to be an awesome match. Can't wait to see what that match is going to bring tomorrow night on SmackDown. But let's see if SmackDown will be a much better show tomorrow. You know, but we'll have to wait and see. So, anyways, that's it for my review of tonight's edition of Monday Night Raw, which was a shit show. I couldn't believe how shitty that whole third hour was, especially Big Show and Big Cass. Couldn't believe that was the main event. But anyways, thank you all for watching. Give this video a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, and until my SmackDown review tomorrow night, I'll see you all back here tomorrow night with that review.